that I have no shoes on. This is not a fashion statement. I'm a chemical engineer. I'm a practical person. I have a tendency to get excited when I talk. And I was in Toronto once, and I had shoes on, and I didn't feel the edge of the stage. And so next thing you know, I fell. But the worst part is the video showed I kept talking the entire time I was falling. Just a practical idea. My name is Doug Hall. I created a place called the Eureka Ranch after 10 years at 6th and Sycamore. We're located just outside the gravitational pull of Cincinnati, just east on a wonderful lake. And we've got offices and collaboration licensees around the world that we work with. Our mission, quite simply, is to change the world. To change the world. To change the world through systems. Systems that enable everyone to think smarter, faster, and more innovatively. This was driven by an insight by an amazing lady, Diana Cahill, who is Dr. W. Edwards Deming's daughter. And we worked with the Deming Institute, and she said we must change the person before we can change the culture. And that was the focus. Now, at this moment, my goals here today are to spark a few fresh ideas on how to educate, give you a couple, a few tactical ideas for helping your employees find joy in work, as Dr. Deming said. And to be clear, it's going to be fast. It's going to be like a fire hose. But you can get all the slides, okay? So we do three things: consult, teach, and apply. I'm going to talk about the teaching part here. It's about system-driven innovation. All of the work in my entire life, my dad worked with Dr. Deming when he first came back from Japan at National Corporation. And, of course, P&G got very involved with Deming as well. But Deming said to approach things as a system. And so it's a new field of academic study and leadership science, grounded in real data, thousands of innovations, and made real through projects that actually happen. Deming said famously, 94% of failures are due to the system, 6% are due to the worker. And it's the thinking systems for how we create ideas that are so very, very important. Now, we don't have all the answers. This is a work in progress. Our community of people around the world, though, is co-creating and helping this. And so we've got this wonderful network of people who are working together to help make this happen. Now, when we teach, we find a couple things. We have to start with the very simple question, why should I bother to innovate? I've got so many things going on, why should I bother to do this? The best example came from a small business in Vermont through a government program we were doing, where a fellow said, every business follows a cycle. We're born, we grow, we hit profits, we go on cost cutting, and then we die. Everybody dies. What innovation does is it restarts the life cycle. It gives you never-ending life. Yes, brothers and sisters, you can be saved with never-ending life with innovation. And when we're talking about innovation, we're talking about ways to work smarter, work faster, yes, products, services, yes, wow ideas, all of these. Learning. Learning creates opportunities. We've talked, and better than me, people have talked about how fast things are changing, the rapidity of which things are moving. Today, innovation is not optional. And it's not optional not just in a team of geeks or specialists, but in every single person. Systems for innovation. The community out there is reporting that they're seeing ideas to market up to 600%, 6 times faster, with 80% less risk. Yes, we don't have to have a risk if we apply the right systems as we approach it. Now, corporations can't get a patent. Corporations never invented anything. Only people invent. Only people invent, and then they grant those rights to the corporation. So it is about people, and that's why investing in our human capital is so very, very important. Now, we've learned the wrong way and the right way to create a culture of innovation. The wrong way is project-down innovation, where you say, if we can just get one big success, then it'll all happen. The reality is you get the big success and they go, no, we're good now. Let it move through the python. The fact of the matter is that this does not create a culture of innovation. Instead, what we need to do is we need to take it from the people up, building their confidence, their mindset, and their capability. That's what this is about. Dr. Deming taught famously that leadership's job is to lead improvement of the company's systems. And when it comes to innovation and making this happen, there's three things we need to do. Leadership means to take responsibility for the curriculum content and the method of learning, activation of the education, and then continuous experiments in making it go faster. So, curriculum. The curriculum that your organization teaches, or your client's organization teaches, is the virtual leadership. It is the values, it is the methods, it is the systems, it's the operating system of what you do. But people put in learning systems and they never bother to go look at them. I talk to CEOs, I say, what's in it? I don't know. What you're teaching is what it is, so you need to take responsibility for that. Now, keys to great curriculum, we're finding three things. We're finding reliable content, meaning university grade. Not Doug's course, but a course that truly has peer review and real credentials. Second, tools and methods that help me take the training and make it happen. To help me take the training and make it happen. And third, the psychology. Deming said in his later life, he said, if he had to do it all over again, he would have spent more time studying psychology. Because the psychology of getting somebody to change, you could do a whole conference on it. And so we need to be thinking about that. And one of the big things in that is tailoring for the culture. I didn't say customizing, because the principles are the principles. But each culture has quirks and weirdnesses, and we need to make those easy so to remove those speed bumps and understand how to do that. So we're looking for academic credit, looking for an operations manual, and remember, I'm talking about innovation. I'm talking about how you create ideas. That's what we teach. And lastly, easy for co-creation and tailoring. Oh, speaking of operations manuals, Dr. Deming said, if you can't describe what you're doing as a process, then you don't know what you're doing. I've sat with top corporations, the chief technology officer of a company, I had her sit down, I said, okay, map out for me your system for innovation. And an hour later, she said, well, we start out with we need something, and then it kind of depends. I said, that's not helpful to me. If that's your system, then you can't ever say I've done it wrong because you have no effing system. This is not going to be helpful. This is like circa 1975 manufacturing in the United States and around the world, when there was no system approach to this. Taking responsibility for the teaching method. There's been a lot of talk about this and wonderful thoughts this morning. But if we take the classic system, the sage on stage as it's called, and we port it over to digital, the net result is just mass-produced failure. It doesn't work now, because we're on campuses around the world, teach our courses, 6 college courses we sponsor and we put out, and we've had to reinvent how we did it. Because when we put the courses out at first, they failed. And I turned around and said, well, we got to do something different. They said, well, you're going to have to invent it. And thanks to an incredible group of people from universities and from corporations, we created a new way of doing it. Instead of using tests to segment employees into the smart and the stupid, we've committed to come up with a system that everybody who is willing will master the ability to innovate. If you're willing, we will make you a master of it. Very different than you're smart, you're stupid. It's a process called Cycles to Mastery, where there's a learning, there's a lab that's hand-on, an application, a reflection, and cycles that are done. And we're literally seeing, right now, we've got 85% of the students achieving mastery. 85% of students, and oftentimes on campus, they're first-year students, and in corporations, they're frontline employees. But we got to give them tools. So we translate the tools, and we give them the ability to make it easy to do it. Because you go to the class, you learn the theory, but you can't do it. We give it to them with the computer in their pocket, which is these phones, that they can do them right there. And we give them everything from artificial intelligence, which I'm sorry, my computer's one of the ones that got stolen. It happens. And so I had to, but I learned today, I learned how to download from iCloud to an iPad and put it on a flash drive, so things kind of get messed up. Sorry about that. But we can do these. It's encouraging what people are saying is happening. And when we get people to mastery, working with the US Department of Commerce, We had a wonderful set of data where we could track people, and we're finding that it's really making a difference. And when we provide the education, we have to do it 3 ways. There's 3 elements to it. One is we need to give them on-demand classes, problem solutions. So I got a problem, I can get an answer, 5-minute video right then. So instant reward. The second thing we have to do is we have to build curriculums that string together elements. And the new thing that they're doing is badges. I think it's kind of geeky and stupid, but they love it. And so we give them badges that they can get. And then the last thing we do is we give them credit. And we can get them certification, we can get them CEU credits, or we can give them academic credit to be able to do it. Team leaders, managers, then use these as tools as part of their work to bring it together. And we're using this through LMS systems. Now, we have a system, but we also work it into companies. And these LMS systems that are new and in different places, I'm telling you, they're going to change the whole world of education. Because they make it available for everybody, anytime, on the moment. And they're really, it's just going to be incredible. But they don't activate by themselves. That's not what happens. You need to have leadership engagement. So what we're finding is the need to activate education. It's not just enough to say, okay, you got the courses, go take them. But we need to activate and reactivate. So we have to lead from the front. We have to get leadership to become learners. We've talked about it. I'm talking about freaking doing it and getting certification and doing the process. When people do that, it's amazing how fast others do it. And when they don't, you see up to an 85% decline. This is the math. Now, to be clear, you don't have to do it as the leader. You don't have to get engaged in learning. You can stay as you are, knowing everything that you already know. But the fact of the matter is in the short term, the results will go down. Long term, the people will be more powerful than any leader. Because when they're enabled and awakened, miracles happen. Second thing we have to do is to take the early adopters. You can't spread it like peanut butter across the whole organization. What you have to do is you have to turn around and you have to find that 5 to 15% that are innovators, early adopters, and use them to light the spark. What we're talking about is the diffusion of innovations, and you cannot beat this curve. You cannot beat this curve. It is the way it is. And so then we activate those, we apply the mindset onto business priorities, and then we have never-ending activation, whether it's integration into the LMS, 1-minute videos of micro-learning, weekly lunch and learns, and then a thing that's been incredibly powerful is to give those people who are in the company, instead of doing it just during the work week, I want it to become the whole person. So what we do is the company has the LMS with all the secret crap in it. Then what you turn around is you give them 3 passcodes that allows family and friends to take some of the same courses and use the same tools. Suddenly they're doing it in their whole life, and it's a transformation. Take responsibility for continuous improvement, metrics, we can talk at length about this, engagement completion for individuals is a change agent assessment, says their probability of being one of those pioneers to do it, and for the organization, percent of time proactive versus reactive is the best measure. These metrics and feedbacks feed never-ending improvement, and quite frankly, the good news is University of Rochester shows that when you get 10% becoming true believers, with unquestionable belief, you will now set off a chain reaction across the organization. Now, the really kind of funky thing about this is this research was funded by the US military, so I think they were using this to take over countries or something. I'm not sure. It's a bit dicey. But the fact of the matter is that you can do that. So I'm going to end with a quick case study on the power of enabling everybody to innovate, to make everybody to do it. Now, in the old world belief is it's about the idea. Give us the big idea, and a miracle will happen. In the new world, it's about innovation by everyone, all the way to market. And I'm going to give you a case study of my funky thing that I do now called Brew Custom Whiskey, and a quick case study. Now, the secret to great whiskey is wood. That's where the opportunity to craft wow is in the wood. So one fall day, I got curious, and we took whiskey and wood, we put it in a pressure cooker, we heated it up, and if you remember your chemistry, when you heat up an alcohol and water solution, the alcohol goes off first, so it gets ugly really quickly. So, We then turned around and we did 4,000 experiments, Plan, Do, Study, Act, as Dr. Deming teaches, and we started to win awards, like the biggest awards. That's pretty cool. Because we're making this whiskey now in a chemical reactor in about 40 minutes. We're taking old spirit and making it world-class in 40 minutes in my garage, okay? So I then go and I see the folks at the Macallan, which is Edrington, and I pitch them on the idea of doing this, and for some crazy reason they say, yeah, we'll try it. And so we end up making a product called Noble Oak that's everywhere, and Relativity, and now we've got more products, and we're about to open in Windsor, and we're going to do it there. So, disruptive innovation. Now, normally you'd say that's the end of the story, right? Ding! I did it. You know, give me a prize, give me a bonus. Now hand it to the team to do it. The problem is, what we're doing, nobody in Edrington knows how to make it, sell it, market it, because it's totally different. Totally different. So you need to keep innovating, because the big idea is only 20% of what it takes to win in business. So I need everybody in the organization to be problem solving, or else what they'll do is they'll compromise in an idea and it'll look like the same old stuff we've always done before. So now we have to take it all the way through the process. So we had a problem. Whiskey marketing requires a pile of money. And while it's true that Edrington can be successful with Noble Oak, for our brands, because I did a collaboration, I didn't sell to them, we don't have the money to do that. So we had to invent a way to generate customer pull from our trade and consumer customers as opposed to having to pay them to get it. So we decided to go back and create something that was there in pre-prohibition, which is custom whiskey. So everybody can have their own whiskey, because our technology allows us to make one unique bottle for people, or a case for a trade customer. And suddenly the bartender's pouring our stuff instead of others. So this custom whiskey was awesome. But then cost of goods is kind of bad. Normally you'd give up at this point. You'd say those numbnuts of creativity, they didn't understand cost of goods. But the team, the production team, sits there, and Joe Gergash, he turns around and he finds some partners, does some mining, just like Connect and Develop, same deal, goes out, and we invent a machine that blends a bottle in 20 seconds. Okay? But then we've got another opportunity, which is how do we create growth? Because if I fight with the big guys, it's going to get ugly. Well, only 18% in North America drink whiskey. What about the 82%? What can I do with those? And so thus, we created a custom cocktail experience with micro cocktails that brings everybody into the process. Fairs and festivals, promotion. We're getting ready to go. Frickin' Suntory and Jim Beam have got this giant booth, and we're in this little 10-foot booth. I said, this is going to get ugly. So I said, we got to do something. We got to do something unique. We do patent mining, and we find a patent that had gone in the public domain. We make an improvement on it and file it for flight trays, where we can serve 4 cocktails or 4 whiskeys, and you can get a sample of each, and you can walk them at the fair. Changes the way it works. So in the old world, it was about experts providing a big idea. In the new world, it's about systems that enable everyone to think smarter, faster, and more innovatively. That's what it's about. It's about enabling everybody to do this, to make it happen. So, to realize the new reality, leadership needs to take responsibility for the curriculum, activation, and continuous experiments. Now, I know we got a crazy world right now. Doesn't matter where it is, if it's up in Catalonia, if it's in Brexit, if wherever you want to take it around the world right now. But as Ben Franklin said, as long as I have known the world, I have observed that wrong is always growing more wrong, and that right, however opposed, comes right at last. He must have worked for Procter & Gamble. So, I'll close with my favorite quote from Franklin, a quote so important to me that when I'm laid to rest in my beloved Prince Edward Island, I'm Canadian and US, it'll be carved on my tombstone. As Franklin said many years ago, up sluggard and waste not life. In the grave will be sleeping enough. Deep inside all of us is a little voice that tells us what we should do and what we must do. We've got to learn to believe that every person in our organization can do amazing things, and then to enable them and to teach them and to give them the tools to go do that. That is the purpose of my life and the incredible group of people, not only at the ranch, but our partners around the world to do it. Thank you very much, everybody.